This is a Nice Guys Patreon exclusive.
Welcome to another NHL team season preview video. 32 teams in 32 days rolls along here on the Ice Guys, getting you ready for the upcoming 2024-2025 NHL season with team previews for every single NHL team. Ian Cameron, and here on this video, we are joined by Eddie Lack and Rich H. And that should be a dead giveaway right there. We are talking Vancouver Canucks here for this edition of our season preview videos. Eddie, it's great to have you as part of this, former Vancouver Canuck, and I still know that you have a near and dear place in your heart for the Vancouver Canucks and always will. You cheer them on from afar, and I know you're looking forward to seeing what they can do as an encore following a very strong first full season under Rick Tocchet as head coach. But Eddie, glad to have you with us. You're over in Sweden. How's the summer going back home?
The summer is going good. We've been here for a few weeks now, and we're going actually to Spain for a wedding tomorrow. My cousin's is getting married, so before we head back to Phoenix and the good weather and everything again. So yeah, look forward to that. And it's going to be your 2025 Stanley Cup champions, Vancouver Canucks, if I may.
Oh my gosh! So the bold takes have begun already. Crazy takes maybe too, but nevertheless, we'll see. Yeah, there you go. Right off the hop here, Eddie Lack going bold, go big or go home here, saying maybe Vancouver hoisting Lord Stanley for the first time in franchise history, even though there's been some close calls, obviously, 1994 and 2011, obviously, both of those years going to Game 7 of the Cup final. Rich H., you know him well. He's been on almost every one of our bet casts. He doesn't miss many of them, and we've seen him, of course, in the chat. He's been on the show occasionally as well in the past, and huge Vancouver Canucks fan in Vancouver, of course. Rich, good to have you.
Great to be here, and looking forward to this little breakdown we're having. And I'm with Eddie. Let's do this all the way to the top.
Let's win this Stanley Cup, baby. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And look, that's the dream right now for the Vancouver Canucks this season. They got to start looking at that as their goal. You know, after what we saw from them last year, where they have this incredible, rebound season, a great first full season under Rick Tocchet as head coach. You get to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, a great regular season, one of the better regular seasons in the NHL last year. But now there's expectations. Now there's a little bit of a target on your back. As well, if you're the Vancouver Canucks coming into this season. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle that because, teams will be ready to play them on a nightly basis. The way this lineup goes to begin the season, certainly a couple of changes of note. You look at up front on the forward group, they basically poach a couple of Boston Bruins. The Vancouver Canucks in the offseason. They bring in Danton Heinen and Jake DeBrusk from the Boston Bruins. I think the Jake DeBrusk option it was a pretty good one, and I know the Canucks fans were panicking a little bit early on July 1st, saying, well, we're losing this guy, we're losing that guy, and what are we doing here to try to fill the void? Well, they stepped in, they brought in Jake DeBrusk, they bring in Danton Heinen from the Boston Bruins. I think the DeBrusk addition has the chance to be a good one. This is a hardworking player. There's been talk, that sometimes, the struggles offensively, that he does go into droughts, sure. 21 goals last year, 40 points. That is a dip from what he had with less games played a couple of years ago with the Boston Bruins. So it was a bit of a down year for Jake DeBrusk, but his tenure in Boston, really the last two seasons, I think there was some disconnect. There was rumblings that, didn't always get along with the coach and vice versa there in Boston. We'll see now a clean slate, brand new head coach and Rick Tocchet. And sometimes, look, how many times do we see in sports? Doesn't matter if it's just hockey anymore, football, basketball, other sports as well. Change of scenery, a fresh start somewhere else sometimes brings out the best in someone. So you leave the door open, that can happen for Jake DeBrusk here playing for the Vancouver Canucks. Danton Heinen as well. Now, it does look like they're experimenting with the possibility of Danton Heinen maybe being on the top line for the Vancouver Canucks. That's pretty bold from Rick Tocchet. I'm not sure Danton Heinen's a top-line player just yet. We'll have to wait and see. We're talking about a guy that's barely cracked 20 goals in a season, the majority of his NHL career. But if he is up there, you get to play with the likes of JT Miller and Brock Besser. certainly that's two players that can certainly help you bring out the best in you. Brock Besser, an outstanding season. So great to see. He's dealt with a lot, some mental struggles off the ice. The passing of his father, which was obviously very, very heartbreaking. And to be able to go, fight through that, battle through that, and have 40 goals last year, 73 points in 81 games. Great season for Brock Besser. And from all indications, because the Canucks social media feeds have been featuring Brock Besser a ton here the last few days, he's worked his butt off to be in even better shape, better stamina for the upcoming season. I think he really wants to have a big season. I think 50 goals, he might be even able to shoot for that this year if he stays healthy, Brock Besser. But he's not resting on his laurels. That's what I like, guys. Like, this is not someone that says, I scored 40 goals last year. Now it's time to sit on my ass and do nothing to get better. No, he's really put in the work in the offseason to be even better this year. So you love to see that. Elias Pettersson, we know he drove Canucks fans a bit nuts last year, and that's putting it mildly. Struggles, without a doubt. You're talking about a guy that, they expected, yet he was still an 89-point guy in 82 games, but the playoffs were disappointing for sure for Elias Pettersson, and I'm sure they're going to want a little bit more from him at the important time of the year, assuming they are a playoff team. I think we all think they're at least going to be a playoff team again, the Vancouver Canucks. And keep your eye on this 19-year-old who's pushing for a roster spot, Jonathan Lekkerimäki here for the Vancouver Canucks. This is a guy that played in Eddie's home country professionally in Sweden, Örebro, and a guy that put up some decent numbers. Remember, he's 19 years old playing in a man's league, professional league. So that's good experience for him. It's probably put him in a spot where he's, going to be able to push pretty well for a roster spot here in training camp. You got Höglander, Bluger, Garland, Pius Suter rounding out the forward group. And then you've got, it's not delivery, it's Di Giuseppe will be maybe an extra. Sammy Blais is going to be battling for a bottom six role. Daniel Sprong, that's Sprong. Daniel Sprong brought in as well for the Vancouver Canucks. So nice little fourth line addition. Sneaky offensive player. How many times have we seen Daniel Sprong pop up and cash a plus 500 goal scorer prop for us during the season? That's, we've targeted Sprong at times. He can be a little bit of an underrated offensive difference maker. So like the addition of him. And on the blue line, there are some changes. Derek Forbert from the Boston Bruins and also played for the Kings before that. Vinny Desharnais, they bring him in from the Edmonton Oilers. I like that little sandpaper, physicality, defensive shutdown ability from him on the blue line. Carson Soucy, Tyler Myers re-upped in the offseason for the Vancouver Canucks. Hopefully Carson Soucy is injury-free this season because I think highly of him as a defenseman, and obviously he had some injuries last year, but I think I like his game quite a bit, and I like that they got him prior to last year from Seattle. And then, of course, you're set on the top pair with Quinn Hughes and Phil Hronek, who's going to be back now as well. They got him under contract as well. And in goal, look, that's where the big question is. That's the one concern with Vancouver here is Thatcher Demko and the fact that he's got the knee injury that he's coming off. And now there's this lower body muscle injury that he's dealing with, a very, very in a unique spot in a situation where the doctors can't really tell, how to go about dealing with it, diagnosing it, treating it, and the rehab for it. And as a result, it's really thrown Thatcher Demko's playing status up in the air for the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, they just opened training camp as of this recording a few days ago, and nobody can really give us a firm answer on when they expect Thatcher Demko back. There's legitimately no timetable for his return right now. So it's up in the air, which means we're starting the season with Artur Shilovs, the young Latvian netminder, as their number one goalie, and Kevin Lankinen, who was brought in for some depth at the position to back him up. So it's going to be interesting. Now, I think highly of Shilovs. How can you not? He comes in late in the regular season, plays great. Playoffs, ice water in his veins, played awesome, gave the Canucks a chance. They beat Nashville, and his play was outstanding. And they lose to Edmonton not because of Artur Shilovs. He gave them an opportunity to compete with the Oilers in a series that went 7 games, that went the distance. I think highly of his ability. My question is, and I'm going to turn to Eddie right after this. He knows as playing the position. The goalie that now has to suddenly get himself mentally and physically prepared to play every other night for maybe weeks, if not months, depending on how long Thatcher Demko is out. That's a different story as opposed to just having this 10 or 15 game stretch like he had at the end of last season. Is he ready to handle that? and play at the highest level through this experience for the first time of being that every night guy in between the pipes for the Vancouver Canucks. So it's a fascinating team. I hate to say it because I want to be nice to our Vancouver Canuck former players,
Don't.
fans, and Vancouver City people. I know Eddie's trying to already say, "Shut up! You cannot continue." I don't think they're going to be as good in the regular season this year. I think they're still a playoff team, but I think it's going to be very hard to duplicate what they did last year, especially with the question marks around Demko's future and status moving forward. But I do think they're a playoff team. I just think it's going to be very, very difficult regular season-wise to match that success that they had last season. So for as far as a point total bet is concerned, I haven't bet it. I'm probably not because I respect the hell out of Tocchet. I think he's done a great job. I think he's a great coach. But I would only lean under when it comes to the Canucks season point total. Eddie, let's turn to you. What do you think for these Vancouver Canucks?
I mean, I feel like we had a good off season. I would have tried to keep Zadorov, I think, if anyone. The two question marks for me going into this season, obviously the biggest one is Thatcher Demko. It is kind of alarming that we don't really have a timeline set for his return, right? And when he got hurt in the playoffs, they were like, oh, he's going to be out for like a couple of weeks or like miss a series. And then it kind of just like kept going as the summer has gone here. So for me, that is the biggest question mark with my Vancouver Canucks, because in my opinion, yes, Shilov's played great. He gave them a fighting chance in the playoffs and everything, but Thatcher has like shown that he's a top 10, top 5 goalie in this league when he's healthy, right? So to have a good/great goalie there compared to a top guy in the league, that is like another 5-10 wins a year, I feel like, right? So that's my biggest question mark, and I really hope that we do get some good news with that Thatcher soon. And then the other one is Elias Pettersson, and he had his end of the year, the media stuff, and he's like, I played hurt, and then the team came out and said, well, like he wasn't really playing that hurt, right? And everyone is like, what is going on here, right? So we just need him to play up to his new contract and everything, because before he signed the contract, everyone was like, well, he's just not feeling secure because they're negotiating his contract and everything, like, and then once he signed, it was like, oh well, like now he's just feeling the stress from his new contract and need to perform and everything. So we just need to have a really good season from Elias, and hopefully we can have a little better support system for him as well. And that is what I'm hoping, that he's going to excel this year now. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I want to mention one thing too about the Canucks, and I forgot to mention it. It's important because he was an important under the radar cog for them last year. Dakota Joshua. Very
Really?
important to point that out, that Dakota Joshua, who of course re-signed with the Canucks, but unfortunately diagnosed with testicular cancer. He had to undergo surgery for that. Is not part of training camp at the moment, and this is a dicey situation right now because there's so much uncertainty about when he'll be able to return to the ice right now because of this. So Dakota Joshua's status in terms of his return to the Vancouver Canucks is up in the air. We're talking about someone that absolutely made an impact in a bottom 6 role last year for this team.
Huge.
On a forecheck, physically winning puck battles, being a presence in front of the net with that big frame. Hard to move him out of there. Good on the board battles, the battles along the wall for pucks. Hard to, again, knock him off the puck, a man that size, and he's got underrated finishing ability, and he certainly showed that last year with a career best 18 goals and 32 points in 63 games for the Vancouver Canucks last year. So now he's out indefinitely, recovering from the surgery for the testicular cancer. And like I said, now his status, very much like Thatcher Demko, it's an unknown right now when he will be available for the Vancouver Canucks. There's no question about that. So just in summation, Eddie, your overall, how do you see it going for the Vancouver Canucks this season? And just any overall thoughts? I know you already were on record saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but how do you see the season going? What do you think of their forward group and their blue line?
I think the forwards group is good. I think the blue line, I mean, you have Quinn and Hronek back there, right? And they're gonna eat up a ton of minutes. I think it's you. I'm probably leaning for the under for the point total, but I do think that they are gonna make the playoffs, and if they can get healthy halfway through the season, then they're going to be a real threat in the playoffs, I think, and we just kind of need to hold on in the beginning here and just hope to get a little bit more healthy as we go here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of these situations where, especially coming off a year last year and the uncertainty with Demko, the uncertainty with Joshua, there's some changes up front. The Zadorov loss to me is big. And the question is going to be, does the Forbort and does the Forbort edition and the Desharnais edition make up for losing Zadorov? Because I think Zadorov's a hell of a defenseman. Does two of Desharnais and Forbort equal one of Zadorov? You know, and can you
think like those guys like Zadorov, Lindholm was like both really, really good in the playoffs last year as well, right? And those are two big losses, but I do feel like the guys that they brought in and everything has potential to fill those shoes, right? But that is like a key point to make, like has potential, and they kind of have to show that too. So
exactly, they do. This was a weird thing going on with the Canucks and the Bruins. It's like, I'll give you two of our players if you give me two of your players, kind of deal. It's kind of weird how that fucking off season panned out for these two teams, because of course we saw Elias Lindholm and Zadorov go to Boston from Vancouver, and we see obviously Danton Heinen and Jake DeBrusk go from Boston to Vancouver. So so Vancouver to Boston, you got Lindholm and Zadorov going that way, and then from Boston to Vancouver, you got DeBrusk and Heinen going that way. But no, like I said, the thing with Tocchet is Tocchet's a good coach. He got the most out of this team last year, even with these concerns, who's out, who they lost in free agency from last year. Concerns about Heinen being a legit top six forward. I got to see it. Remember, this guy, I don't believe, has cracked 20 goals in a season, and they're asking maybe a top line duty for him this season. Although DeBrusk, I would think, might have a chance to get that role. For some reason, I see some sites have Heinen on the left wing first line, DeBrusk on the left wing second line, but they might want DeBrusk with Pettersson, is the thinking there, I believe, with maybe DeBrusk playing in that particular spot in the lineup. Rich, let's get your thoughts here. What do you think? You love this team. You're in Vancouver. What do you think for your Canucks?
All right. Well, I've made a lot of notes, so I'll try to be brief and just cut me off at any point in time. I've had faith through the thick and thin with this franchise. So seeing the team that's making the decisions, Mr. Rutherford, Patrick Alvin, Emily Castonguay, and Cami Granado, I'm like, I feel good. It's a process. Things evolve. You see some each year. You take a couple pieces and you upgrade them, and you mesh and you build. And in season, I think Alvin was probably one of the busier GMs last year. So confidence definitely high. I like the signings. I would have liked to have signed Zadorov, but what was it? 6 years, $5 million. It's a lot of, that's going to be a
is.
lot of money at the end of that contract. And Lindholm was even more. But I like where we're at in terms of going into the season. If there was a meme, it would probably be the mascot Finn juggling balls that have question marks on them. Which question are we going to solve first, and what's the answer? And then we going to get more balls or less balls? So yeah, best wishes definitely to Dakota Joshua and Demko as human beings, as athletes, and then as members of the team that I support. And Pettersson's knee, whether that's 100% or not. It's just so weird how some fans get enjoyment out of tearing down less than met expectations instead of finding the positive or just believing in the ability so there's a lot of that in the media here, but I'm quite confident. I like Hronek re-signed. That was like the first thing they did. Locked him up for 8 years at $50 million, brought Friedman back for a year, signed Bluger for 2 years for less than he made last year when he could have got more on the open market. That speaks to the management again. Ship Mikheyev out and a second, got a fourth back, freed up the money to sign Mr. Myers.
Chaos Giraffe. That's what you're trying to say. You can't say not with the Chaos Giraffe nickname, though, Rich. He played okay down the stretch last year for the Canucks. Tyler Myers talking about.
I think our new D coaching, is as strong as Tocchet, and I think we're seeing it in Tyler Myers in terms of less chaos, more control.
Got his game back on the rails. I agree. That's coaching. Yep.
And Myers got three. Dakota. We locked him in for 4 years. So hopefully, and that's tough. You're coming off a contract. You just signed a contract. You're going to miss training camp. You've got this serious health issue going on. You hope it's resolved. You don't know. It's not like a broken leg that's going to heal and you're good to go. So that's tough coming off a new contract. Heinen, I haven't even really mentioned him yet. I think you did. But yeah, I don't think he's going to wear number 20. I don't think he's first line. I really don't. Kiefer Sherwood was just a pest when we played Nashville in the playoffs. I really like his signing. Another $1.5 million for 2 years. Forbert, you mentioned. Desharnais. I'm wearing this in honor of Brian Burke. And so, yeah, with those signings, truculence. I love it. Amazing.
Right, you got the Berkey look, the tie around the
yeah. And the tie is actually bought at Pat Quinn's garage sale from his daughter.
Wow.
Worn by Pat Quinn.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I guess I have some crazy contacts where just cool stuff happens and can't explain it. You mentioned Sprong, $975,000 for 1 year.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
Yep.
The guy has averaged 18.25 goals a year. That's like putting down the minors, and it's a contract. There's no risk. I love that. We said goodbye to Podkolzin. Sammy Blaze doesn't seem to be able to keep up too much on his PTO. We signed Silovs, as you said, for 2 years. Now, he doesn't have a lot of experience, so we signed him for $1.3 million. But I remember a guy that only played 5 games for the Canucks, and he signed a 2-year contract for $2.3 million. So I don't know if you can remember who that is, Eddie.
Who is it?
You.
Me?
There you go. Trick question. Rich brought his A material here.
He brought the A game.
Yeah, I know.
And Lankinen wanted $2 million a year. And Alvin held out, signed him for $875. So there's this maybe I do want to come and play in Vancouver.
He's a nickel and dimer, but it's good for the team. Yeah.
But hopefully we don't need him. That's the whole point.
Yes. But somebody's going to need him. So it's we've had to convince him that he's going to get something out of coming here.
Yeah.
Besides a paycheck.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But we got a Norris Trophy, we got a Jack Adams Trophy. JT Miller Okay. Oh, I did something else real quick. Since 2014 and 15, when it was the Marky Lack show in Vancouver, which is so cool because they played together in Sweden. So what are the odds of two guys like getting on the same team? The leading point getter for the Canucks since 2014, Bo Horvat. That's why I've got him back here. He's got 436 points in 644 games. Pettersson's played 437 games. He's got 436 points. I forgot to bring my Pettersson. Bye-bye, Horvat. The next guy, JT Miller, in only 394 games. So he's coming up on 400. He's got 432 points in 394 games as a Canuck. Besser's got 407 points in 500 games. And then Quinn Hughes, 359 points in 395 games.
Wow.
And then still on the list, Henrik and Daniel. This is actually a game-worn jersey from Henrik Sedin.
Amazing.
Found in a thrift store for less than $50.
Now that's value right there. Yeah.
Remind me to go
wanting
shopping
share
with
that
you.
with the Ice Guys for a while, and I'm like, today's the day to bring out the goods. We've got the Hughes brothers on NHL 25, the three brothers. That's pretty cool, in terms of Canuck momentum.
Jack, Quinn, and Luke. Yep, all three of them were on that EA Sports. Yep, NHL 25 cover. Good for them.
I think the one thing that this organization, franchise, team, and growth needs more than anything right now is a proper practice facility. That's still one of those balls that Finn's juggling.
Yeah.
But the captains are on the bridge. We're strong. We finished sixth, so we're not this team that people are looking at and saying, "Hey, are they going to make the playoffs this year?" We're a team that finished sixth. Yeah. Teams treat those teams differently when you go into their home ice and when you get up for a team. So yeah, everybody's saying all the right things. We got to raise the bar. We got to elevate. We got to find that next level. Interesting thing on that list, the last guy that I didn't mention, Connor Garland, 253 games, 150 points. He's quietly moving up there in terms of his back. So.
I love Garland.
Phoenix, one of the hardest working guys, and we're about the same size.
Smallest guy with the biggest ticker, as we always like to say. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's got a heart to him and a soul to him, and just the competitive spirit every night. The compete level in that guy. Now, if everyone competed to the level Connor Garland did on that hockey team, they'd be a heck of a team. Not that they aren't, but they'd be even better if everyone played the way they did. Quinn Hughes is the captain, but I think JT Miller's like a 1B captain for this team. I think he's become that big of a leader. There's no question for the Vancouver Canucks. And I think he's probably a big-time support role for Quinn Hughes in the captaincy. Quinn can make speeches, but hey, I don't think JT is shy about making those speeches in the dressing room, just based on the way he carries himself, in my opinion. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And you got that like D mentality and that forward mentality. So it's like you got two generals on the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just great. Complimentary.
No doubt. There's not much I like as far as props or futures with Vancouver. I didn't take the cup futures. I didn't take them to win or anything. I lean under the point total, but even that, I'm not betting it. Player prop wise, maybe if you can find, I'm trying to see if DeBrusk is posted anywhere. That would be what interests me. Jake DeBrusk, because we're kind of buying low after, an up and down, inconsistent final season he had with the Bruins. And how many times have we seen in this league that players are usually using that change of scenery to their benefit, that fresh start, that clean slate that Jake DeBrusk is going to have now with the Vancouver Canucks. So, if there are player props, season-long player props anywhere involving players, Jake DeBrusk certainly, I think FanDuel definitely would have them here this year. I'm going to see if I can find it here because I'm pretty sure he might be on the list.
His ice time could easily go up from 15 minutes to 20. And at 15 minutes, he's still scoring almost 24 goals per season. So they're looking at putting him on the bumper. Power play 1. He was always on power play 2, mostly in Boston when they had centers. Sky's the limit.
I'm looking at goals at FanDuel, 30 goals. That's maybe a little ambitious, but 30 goals. I think it's doable. He's going to be in the top 6. He's going to play with either Miller and Besser or Pedersen on the
probably both.
Yeah.
At times.
And Rick Tocchet will switch it up because there'll be some games. Well, it's not working that line tonight. Let's put him up on the first top line and vice versa. Or it's not working with Miller and Besser. Let's put him with Pedersen. Oh, it's not working with Pedersen. Let's put him with Miller and Besser. I think you're going to see that kind of thinking for Tocchet. The bottom line is he's going to get power play time. He's going to probably be definitely one of the two, probably often the first power play unit for this Vancouver team. You can get Jake DeBrusk to score 30 goals this year, FanDuel, at plus 440 right now. Plus 440. I think that's not bad. It's a nice price. I like the situation where he's moving. He gets a fresh start, a change of scenery for Jake DeBrusk. And I think he's got the skill set to maybe score 30 goals in this league. He almost did it 2 years ago in Boston when he scored 27 goals in 64 games. So if he scored 27 in 64 games 2 years ago, and he stays healthy for the majority of this season and plays more than 64 with Vancouver this year, I think he's got a shot to hit 30. And that's all I'm asking for at getting plus 440 with Jake DeBrusk to score 30 goals this year. So that is the one player prop season long with Vancouver that I'm interested in. What do you think, Eddie? Do you think that one is good or?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think you're missing out on the Stanley Cup champion future, but if you don't like money, it's all good. Like there's better odds for the rest of us then, I guess. So yeah, we'll take it.
Has the odds changed at all with Demko being questionable? They were around 14, 16, 18. I haven't looked for a while.
I don't think it's dropped significantly as far as Demko is concerned for the Canucks rather for the futures with Demko being it's right it's been around. I think it was 12-1 at Bet365. It's 14-1 now, so maybe there's been just a little drop in the price, but they're still, as far as the futures market is concerned, they're still a top 10 team to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, they're right in line with the Rangers and the Leafs, who are in that 13 and 14-1 range right now to win the Stanley Cup. Vegas and Nashville are 2, and Tampa are 3, and Boston are 4 teams right behind Vancouver. And then it's Rangers, Carolina, Colorado, Dallas, Florida, New Jersey, Edmonton ahead of them in the Stanley Cup futures market right now. Great stuff, guys. Anything you want to say in closing, Eddie? Any last thoughts?
Well, our thoughts are with Alex that unfortunately slept in this morning. So we're hoping that
we assume that, yeah.
find him for the regular season, and I look forward to being on the live shows and everything, and look forward to a great season.
Yeah, we assume that, like I say, he'll be pissed though that he missed this. I know it because the last time, he was not happy that he missed a certain show and video. But that's sometimes does happen.
It is my fault because I'm in Europe right now, right?
Yeah, so we did it earlier, and
but yeah.
And it's although this is now 11 a.m. Central hour in Alex's home, so it's not like we're asking him to wake up at 5 a.m. to do this shit. So yeah, I mean, come on. Rich, it was great to have you as part of this as well. Anything you want to add before we finish?
I'm thrilled to be a part of it, and I personally would like to thank Alex because instead of getting 25% of Eddie Lack NHL's time during this, I got 33%. So it's all like the numbers are all lining up. One thing I thought, if somewhere out there Don Cherry was ever reading a highlight of Jonathan Lekaramaki, he'd probably call him Letter Kenny.
That's not bad, Rich. Not bad at all. Hey, it was Oliver Lawson Tossum from him when it comes to Ekman Larson many years ago. So who knows how he would pronounce that name? Anything it could be anything you could imagine as far as how he.
I mean, I am even having a hard time with it. So yeah. Eddie's Swedish.
I was going to say, you've got an excuse. English is not your first language.
Yeah.
For Don Cherry, it is. And he had Oliver Lawson Tossum is his Hall of Fame name butchering. Nothing will top that. Nothing. Although there's one that was pretty close there with Galchenyuk. He called him Del Chuckluck. Yeah, that was pretty good too. But nothing will top Oliver Lawson Tossum. No doubt about it. We'll see if anyone tops the Vancouver Canucks. Eddie Lack doesn't think so. He made the bold take. They're winning the Stanley Cup. We will see here in 2024, 2025. Great stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to, of course, Eddie Lack and Rich H. for joining us here for this Vancouver Canucks season preview video. I'm Ian Cameron. This has been the Vancouver Canucks season preview video as 32 teams in 32 days rolls along right here on the ice, guys. As always, thanks for joining us.